turn to our closing keynote, entitled, "The Future We Fund is the Future We Get," which I think is really important. And our closing keynote, as you know, will be delivered by Lorenzo Davids. Lorenzo Davids is the CEO of the Development Impact Fund. He's also a director at the Afrigo Capital Group. Prior to this, he spent 8 years serving as the CEO of Community Chest South Africa, and in his current role, he serves as a consultant to local and international funders on investment decisions. So you're getting his pearls of wisdom this afternoon. Lorenzo, if you can come up to the stage, thank you.
So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for staying. I know you have a flight to catch. The last time I was here, I ran off the stage to go catch a flight. But I'm delighted to be with you this afternoon, and thank you very much. If you want to do a quick stretch, please do so. Is there anybody who needs to stand and just stretch their legs? We're going to be done in exactly 30 minutes. So please, you may just want to loosen your brain cells a little bit. Great. Thank you. Don't overdo it now. You may just enjoy it too much. So the future we fund is the future we get. We have to begin to talk seriously about where we are and what we do. We had some amazing talks, Hein on the first day and Cara Jean just now, and Eric at the other end, who really, I think, landed my own sense of feeling with these issues. I've been in development for a long time. I ended my career when I turned 60. I'm now 64, and I'm in the consulting space, and I'm a public transport user. I love buses, taxis, and trains. I have a love for them that's eternal. I dream about it. I fantasize about it. I just feel the sense of, I need a train right now. I even use public transport to get here. I took Flight Saf Air, whatever they call themselves. Yeah, nobody caught that. That's okay. It's late in the afternoon. Okay. Yesterday, somebody reframed what I was going to say. My colleague, Colin Brocker, in front here, who's the CEO of the company I consult for, sat with me last night as we were pondering this, and she said, you have to rewrite what you were going to say. And I had this thought in my mind, and it's on the second slide, please, if you will switch. This thing. Dorato. Stand up, please. There she is. She said, I registered my business out of anger. In a country with the data that we have about human lives, people, children, education, health, transport, housing, we should be a far more angry society. We should show the world that we are not satisfied with where we are at. Collectively, our corporates, ourselves as activists in the space, the individuals who work in the streets and towns and villages of our society, there should be a collective anger about this. We are not angry enough. All of us. And if my slide pusher can hear my voice and follow my words, then he can turn the slides. We are not angry enough. Because we keep placing ourselves in situations where we are trying to be nice, framing the conversation. Oh, I am supposed to do it. Yeah, there you go. Sorry. I'm apologizing to that gentleman there. I'm so angry. So there should be this deep sense of we are not happy. We should be building something that is far more profound than what all of us have together right now. We should be angry at poverty, at government, at funders, at communities, at ourselves, at our collective inertia, passivity, lethargy, rigidity, stagnation, and procrastination. We are not angry enough. There are too many things going wrong, and we keep selling panados. When this is a cancer we are dealing with. Children dying in pit latrines. Women standing in the dark waiting for a bus or a taxi. People dying in clinics where they should be healed. Children not getting an education in the schools that the government pays for. There should be a far more rousing in our minds, in our beings. And what it should do is trigger a big thought in us. Funding is world building. Every cent invested builds a particular version of the world you want. Which version are you building? Have you framed this? Karajin asked us your why? The stuff in your head that says, this is the society I wish to see. This is the world I'm going to create, help create, co-create in the spaces where I live and work. Anger has its own agency. Every feeling should live in the words you write and say. When the funder reads you, listens to you, hears about you, they should feel every emotion that you carry deep in your soul. We have made this far too technical. And as we said yesterday, taken the soul out of the thing. What are you communicating to your funders about your country and your dreams? And so despite all the funding and all the programs and all the strategies, the data tells us that change is not big enough to fundamentally impact the lived realities of our people. You know, you can take Pearls, you can take Makanda, you can take any study that's being done, you can look at all the data sets around us, and you can basically say, yeah, it's going to go in the wrong direction. Our problem is that despite the data, we are still fairly passive about our programs and interventions. The data doesn't rush us to revolution. The data is not rushing us to get together in our groups and say, hold on. We can't be doing this anymore. The data is not urging us to say, hold on, how many of you are in the space where I work? Let's get together here. Let's forget about this institution. Let's build something bigger. And so we use the data to write funding reports to maintain the system that doesn't change the data. I read funding reports. We read funding reports in the company we have for funders, our clients. And every report these days begin with, South Africa is the most unequal society in the world. Opening line. And then I read the proposal, and it reads like nothing they opened with in their opening line. There's no urgency. There's no sense of understanding. There's no big idea here. There's no passion. What they're doing is designing something which they've always designed in their proposal, sending it out annually. And that's scary in the country in which we live. That's scary in the country where kids can't read for meaning. That's scary in the country where literature cannot get to kids so that they can read at a young age. Why is that? We are acting like this because we have fallen in love with our own solutions and not with the problem. we have fallen in love with this great idea we had one day when we saw a picture of need and poverty and hardship and difficulty, and we designed a program, and we love that so much that we don't care what the actual problem is anymore. And that's both corporates and NGOs. We don't care what the problem is because we love what we do. It gives us a sense of satisfaction. Do you know that for us, you and I've been in the NGO space for 40 years. For us, we should be bothered by this. Deeply bothered by this. Because we will continue to raise money for our programs, brands, and interventions, and we refuse to see the great opportunity to design a macro collaborative solution to fix our country. I hope we can sit down in this room, and I want to say to Kath and to Nick and to the team, Sheldon and others, this is a damn great conference. You should never stop. I know sometimes you feel like this isn't working, but for goodness sake, help us. Put us in this room together, and I hope one day you lock the door and you say to us, you're not leaving here until you guys have designed a plan bigger than yourselves. I hope some of you will go away here and sit down and do exactly that. To say, my agency can't fix this. Let's get together with others and design a plan, not just to run a food program, to build food security for the country. Not just to run an ECD, to change the lives of children in this country. We must build bigger words into our solutions. Why? Because why are we only parading stories of individual change? We love showing a kid that's done well, a mother that's got food, a program that's reached a couple of people, and rightfully being applauded and funded for it. And yet we struggle to believe enough in ourselves to write up a plan to transform an entire community or a country, and our country, and rapidly so. Why is there no country plan emerging out of this room? South Africa needs that. The funders we consult for and talk with, everybody gives us the sense of, we can't keep doing this. We can't, especially with foundations and larger trusts. And we can do M&Es, and we can do, oh, you must improve there, and you can write brilliant reports and do all those things. But there's an uneasiness in the funding world at this stage, about South Africa especially, because the data speaks louder than your program. And the data says things are not getting better. And funders are worried that there's no bigger plan, there's no next coming out of the NGO community that says there are 50 NGOs that got together and wrote a plan up for food security in this country. And I can tell you that there are funders who are saying, I don't want to fund a 5 million rand proposal. Give me a 50 million rand proposal that builds food security. I want to talk to those people. Why would I give 5 million every year for the next 10 years when with a 50 million rand proposal we can build something that will last forever? But all of us are too scared to risk our organizations, our reputations, our status, our CEO roles, and all of the nonsense that we get so enamored with. Why? Are we only going as far as designing bracketed interventions? But won't be brave enough to design expansive solutions and take that to the funders. I serve on the board of a fairly large foundation, one of the funders we work with. And Kamala is one of our beneficiaries. And let me just say that because I have to correct myself all the time. I want to kill the word beneficiaries. Either we are partners equally, funders, NGOs, and people, citizens. They are all partners in this process of fixing the country. What we are doing is country duty. And we keep talking in our meetings about what's the great plans that we are running into. And you know what? Sometimes we sit there and we go like, nothing here makes us enthusiastic about it. Nothing enthuses us. There's nothing we feel like, here's something finally. And may I wake you up today to be brave enough to go to a Lunga or to go to an MTN or to go to a Vodacom and risk yourself and say, I have a dream bigger than this. Because we are conditioned to be compliant and subservient and not disruptive and not brave. I don't want to do that. No, but what about the organization? No, never. Our board will never agree. I've said to you, if you have board members that are not brave enough to face the issues of this country, they are not your board members. I'm sorry to say that to you. You need people who will be brave enough to say to you, we will do anything to meet the demands, not of our business plan, of the country's need. CSI often appears to be too close for an open conversation with its external stakeholders. CSI should take you into its confidence and say, sit down, come sit with us, help us shape our strategy. And NGOs, you should be more open to having external people critique your plans. Who's critiqued your plans? While voices, values, and vision are crying out for a conversation. That's me in ECD there. I think I showed this picture the last time. That's me in ECD there. 1966. That man that taught me there is Dr. Frank Quint. Frank Quint later became ambassador to the Netherlands, the first person of color to become an ambassador in South Africa. But Frank was principal of a teacher's college. Don't try and look for me, you won't find me. You're all straining your necks to look now. Who's he? Frank was principal of a teacher's training college called Hewitt Training College in Belgravia Road, Athlone. And Frank woke up with this brilliant idea one morning. He said, why can't I have an ECD at the teacher's training college so that my teachers that I train can see children in real life situations? And he opened this ECD. He came house to house in our neighborhood and said, I'm starting an ECD next year, and I want my teachers to train your children. Would you bring them to the college? And the college would run the ECD. That's where I got my ECD training. That's where I got my understanding about life. And Frank taught me the lesson. He said to us always every morning, close your eyes, close your eyes. And then, he says, tell me what you see. I told you that story. And then one day when we all couldn't see anything, he said, open your eyes. And we then closed it again. And he said, look. And then we began to see stars and fishes and, little bright lights floating in our heads. And Frank said, open your eyes. And he said to us, in this country and in life, you must learn to see in the dark. This year is Alex Tabisher. He was my standard 5, grade 7 head when I was at primary school. He was about 32 years old back then, 32 years old, when Mr. Tabisher walked around, English, in his suit. And he was a dignified teacher. And he came around and we all stand at 4s and 5s. Oh, when Mr. Tabisha comes to teach us, he's like, oh. Alex is now 87 years old. He called me yesterday morning. Monday morning. He called me Monday morning. He said to me, I'm thinking about you. What are you going to be talking about? Alex calls me once a week, every day, once a week, and finds out how am I doing. He's not let me go since Standard 5. He and I write a column together for a newspaper today. And when I write my column, he wants to mark it. He calls me up and says, no, that's not that sentence. It shouldn't be like this. You have to have people who dream the dream with you. I was in London when this article came out. R.W. Johnson wrote this article for the Economist in 2013. I think it was May or April 2013. I happened to pick it up in London. And I read this very article, and I still have the actual copy of The Economist. That's how people see us. And it hasn't changed because the narrative changes all the time. Then we are rising, then we are hopeless. Then we are aspiring, now they're scrambling for us. And what I'm trying to tell you is, get together and plan. Put a different dream together for your country that makes it rise and not the subject of this kind of irresponsible reporting. In Mozambique, I was there at the end of the war, 1999. I was doing some relief work, and we were riding around some of the villages in northern Mozambique, Nampula province, those of you know the area. And we were on a vehicle and driving around, checking out the villages and, where help was needed. And I saw a bunch of kids playing with a soccer ball, playing soccer. And I stopped because I wanted to take, as we do in the NGO space, we take a picture. Because we want a good photo of what we've done. And so the kids are playing, and I stop and I see they're playing with this, like they make their own ball. The little ball is made of plastic bags and whatever they put in it. And so they're playing soccer. And I go to the side of the field and I stand there with my camera and I want to take the photo. And the guy who has the ball, as I lift my camera, he stops and he puts his foot on the ball. And he looks at me. He doesn't move, and everybody else stops. And I'm like, go on, play. He doesn't move. And I'll cut the story short. But he looked at me with intensity, and he said to me through his eyes and his silence, take your damn picture. It won't change my life. We have a program in our company called Building a Country of 6 Words. And we use the preamble to the Constitution. The Constitution is not the problem in this country. The policies there are these. How people shape policy for corporates, for business, for NGOs, for government, that's the problem. But those 6 words come from the preamble. They are the words respect, safety, justice, equity, inclusivity, and prosperity for all. That's what the country should be. That's what we are all aiming to be. The preamble says, and respect those who build it. And it says, build a safe society and justice for all and equity and inclusivity. That's what we are building. And most of us are not aware of these words. That's what the Constitution calls us to have as the ultimate mandate for our work. Most of us have funding without an imagination. We simply want to have funders give us money, but we have no dream in our heads of what we are going to do. And I'm going to say to you as CEOs, you have to have time where you are dreaming about what should take place, of what keeps you going in that bigger space. Are you and your teams looking at the most difficult challenges in your context and the most pressing challenges that donors and communities and governments are facing? Are they focused on solving those things? Because your problem in your community is not a food kitchen. It's not just a soccer tournament. It's not just to keep kids busy. Your job in this space, no matter who you are, ECD or big intellectual NGO, your job is to help deal with the most complex problems in our society. Design a plan for it. You may only get to do this part, but design it this big for God's sake. I'm a train user, as I said, and I got 5 minutes left. When they locked the trains away, I was very sad, and when lockdown ended, from late July onwards to October, slowly they rolled out the trains. And when they announced the train was on my particular line, where I live, in around September of 2020, I went to the station the first morning. And I stood on the station. And the train wasn't coming. Not on schedule, and I tweeted. I tagged Metro Rail and Prasa in my tweets, which I tend to do sometimes. I used to dialogue my train journeys and tell the story of the train, just generally, and people used to enjoy that. So I said, why are there no trains? And I did it for about a week, and then I began to tag Fikile Mbalule in my tweets, the minister then. And after about the second or third tweet, he blocked me. You're just typical Fikile. And, but I did then interviews with the BBC and Financial Mail and others. But I kept on tweeting. I kept on saying, we need trains. The trains need to be back. We need everybody to get together to put the trains back on the lines. Now, who am I, for God's sake? I'm a little commuter standing on a platform with a phone in his hand trying to be smart. But in my heart, I wanted the trains back for everyone. And it did happen. And when Fikile came to Cape Town, I got called by Prasa. He invited me to meet him. And then we took a train to go see the opening of the lines. We traveled all the way Bellville, Belhar, and then we came to Langa on our way back, stopped at Langa station, and Fikile and I stood there, and he called me over. He was, all these other people. He called me over, and that actual picture there, I was smiling because he's announcing to the people, today I am unblocking urban low. And I got to talk at Prasa events to spur commuters on to use the trains. Anything can happen if you have a big dream. Anything can happen if you believe that the funding that we have can build the country we need in the future. Helping people out of poverty is not a charity issue. Neither is the field of guesswork. It requires intelligence, innovation, collaboration, research, data. Can't tell you how much that is. I want to go to a quote I gave at the 2023 Trilogue conference when I spoke in this same slot. In 2023, I said here from the stage, stop using the severity of need as the basis for funding. Use justice as a basis for funding. Stop using the severity of need as the basis for funding. Stop telling funders how bad it is. We know. Sometimes you write proposals and it's 6 pages of what is wrong in the country. Let me just give you some information. Funders read about 1,000 proposals a year, all with the same first 6 pages. You don't need to repeat that to us. You can just say, can you refer to child welfare's proposal? I'll skip the first 6 pages. So the severity of need is not the issue. The issue is justice. It's creating a framework of justice in which we work as a country to become respectful, safe, equitable, inclusive, and prosperous for all. So I said by 2025, justice will be the dominant filter for grant making with intelligent donors. Not all donors, intelligent donors. Justice will be the dominant filter. Global philanthropy, a comparative analysis with focus on South Africa 2025 and 26. That's exactly what they say today. It says that funders are shifting from a niche interest to a core requirement for funding proposals. Funders are increasingly prioritizing initiatives that explicitly address systemic inequality, empower marginalized communities, and demonstrate particularly trust-based approaches rather than just measuring output. Equity and justice are moving to the center of the philanthropic strategy. I guess I should just shut up. Does your organization move the needle from passive consumers of donor funds to sector thought leaders and then to influencers of donor funds? I'm going to skip a few of my thoughts. Let's talk about risk. My time is up. But let me leave you this thought. Around 11.5 million people invest their money in stokvels. Each year, that carries a revenue base of 50 billion rand. Imagine if we engage the stokvel community and could convince them that there's a better way to earn some kind of additional money on that. 800,000 communities are engaged in this exercise. That's a self-help scheme of note. Funerals, anniversaries, parties, graduations are supported by that. That's more than some of the corporate revenues per year. Our job is to face the chaos, frame the chaos, fund the chaos, forge the chaos. We have to go stand on the brink of the chaos in our country, whether it's train stations for me in 2020, or the 104 communities we visited over the last 5 years to go and do research, drive around the country, go visit towns and villages and speak to people and interview them and engage them and ask them what they want. Go face the chaos. And then come back and write. Not your proposal, your heart. Go write your heart when you've spoken to 104 communities and let them tell you what they need. Draw up a plan for your country. Draft a budget for your entire community. Go to funders and share the unfixable problem you're working on. Challenge them to fund you. Some may laugh at you, but I can tell you, somebody is going to fund the dream that is bigger than you. What future are we funding? The voices of ordinary South Africans are crying out for a conversation to rebuild co-created and shared values and to re-envision the country we all love. The country we stood on the brink of in 1994. A country of 6 words. My call to you is please go talk to South Africa. That's the country we are funding. May you be blessed. Thank you.